in the education and some of your experiences, and a few things arise that made me think about changes. I mean, we talked about how there was grade 13, which I was the last year of, and now there's no grade 13. Social media is a huge part of the changes that are now involved with the education system. And then of course, like, there's always evolving curriculum changes. What would you say is the largest change you've seen since you began as a teacher until now?
Definitely technology.
Yeah.
When I started teaching, we had ditto machines, which very few can remember, where you literally had to go around by hand. And it was,
Yeah, I've never heard of it.
I remember those old telex machines, and you were decoding them.
Yeah, and then you sort of put the equivalent of washer fluid in them to get the thing out and rolling. We didn't have things like photocopy machines even when I started. They were too expensive. Things like that. We used a slide rule instead of a calculator when I started teaching. We didn't have computers until about my 6th year of teaching.
Wow.
So the only computer would be bigger than the size of most people's houses, I think, or something like that. So definitely technology has changed the learning process.
And was it hard for you as a teacher or principal to keep updating yourself and keep learning and educating yourself on new technology so that
well, some of the people in the younger generation probably say it's been a struggle because they've been born with it. And I know my own son would laugh at me at certain things, but I don't think it has been as difficult for me because I am a teacher. If I was out somewhere else in society, probably I wouldn't have adapted, but I was forced to adapt, plus I wanted to adapt because of my attitude is if a student can do it, I better be able to do it better or at least relate to somebody else. And for example, I own an iPhone and an iPad and things like this today, so and I'm very familiar with it. But I think you evolve, but definitely I would say younger teachers have a better grasp of technology probably than I do, even as an administrator.
Yeah, and you are currently still working as an administrator, and you are also the coordinator of the new Peel Academy for International Students at Clarkson Secondary School, is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. It will be a new initiative. We haven't even opened yet.
Wow.
I think the opening will be in September, October, so I think you've got a scoop here maybe.
A little inside
because
scoop.
The partnership is also with Sheridan College and with the University of Toronto, which makes it very unique as well. And international students will be coming to Peel and at the start to Clarkson Secondary School for their education, and then for further education to either Sheridan or the University of Toronto. So it's an exciting new project and very different project.
Yes, and since you are still involving yourself, you are obviously very passionate about what you do. Being involved and still up to date on what's happening in the education system, is there any particular change that you would like to see happen within the Peel Board of Education?
Well, I don't think it's just the Peel Board. I would say I'd probably be broader and say, the ministry probably for the province, because they definitely control and influence education more. Definitely money into technology to individualize learning, I think, is important. Money in for exceptional students, the learners that have more difficulty learning. Money into students that have mental health issues so that we can correct it and get their learning before it's too late would be definitely. I think an emphasis on essential learning skills and higher order thinking skills as opposed to memorizing things as well. It bothers me if I see people just filling in the blanks, for example, in a grade 12 class or something like that, as opposed to problem solving, for example. And definitely more emphasis on supporting people to go in the skilled trades, because otherwise we're going to have to import, and the average age is so high right now.
That's right.
I'd say more skills directed towards industry. I think we could do a better job.
Have you ever experienced a change you wanted to make but you felt helpless, that there were some restrictions or?
Oh, people that know me would say all the time. I was always trying to, get outside the box, definitely, and want to make change faster than change could occur. Definitely, I think I was always looking to further develop things. I learned the answer no very quickly, and it was constant.
But you weren't okay with it?
I was fine with it, but you still keep trying, because my job's to really represent learning in the school. It's not to hear yes or no. I'm not the decision maker, but I have to bring it forward.
Wow, that's great. So, if you were to give an advice to our aspiring achievers in the education field, as Bob Garton, what it would be for them?
Well, if you're talking about achievers in terms of teachers, definitely you have to be passionate. You have to love learning, and you have to constantly learn for it. And you have to. And the most important thing in your classroom is relationships.
Yeah.
It's not the teaching of knowledge; it's the teaching of skills. And in order to do that, you have to have relationships, and both relationship with adults and students. And you have to teach students how to make relationships.
True.
We all work better as team members, and to be a member of a team, it's a relationship. So I'd really emphasize that. As far as achieving as a student in a high school environment, again, I try to find something that interests you. Don't worry if it's different than other students. Definitely ask advice, try to get work experience in the area, or go and get somebody else who's an expert and resource, and don't be afraid to keep asking and trying to knock down doors, because eventually somebody will open the door for you, and if you don't try it, you'll be kicking yourself for a long time thinking, why didn't I try this, or why didn't I do this?
That's really great advice.
For that.
Students have to really be proactive in their pursuit, because I remember when I was in high school, you would kind of feel when you would come to the end, like, grade 12 and 13, that now you're trying to find out about what jobs and careers are out there, and by that time you don't have a very long time to make your decision of maybe what you're going to pursue and what you want to take in university or college. Whereas if you're starting to discover your interests and ask questions and get out there and be more involved, like doing co-op, volunteering, you get a better idea, that hands-on experience and advice from people.
Even learning to make contact, and I think our job as teachers and educators is to teach students how to be proactive too. It doesn't come either with responsibility comes freedom, and that's one of my famous sayings. And I think with age that happens.
Yeah. So tell me something. Is there a retirement age for Bob Garton?
Well, I am retired. People say I'm retired. I'm really trying to. It's funny because I said on my retirement day that I was going to put up my shingle and see what happened, and I wasn't going to do what I did for 36 years, and that's be an educator in a high school, a typical high school. So I think what I really want to do is try to take on initiatives that give me the freedom to plan my own time, but are new and exciting and very different for that, or where I can pass on some of my past knowledge and skills to other people.
Wow. So, Bob, we really thank you for being a guest on our show, and it has been a real pleasure talking to you, and I can only look forward to have you one more time, because I know the questions are so many, but the time constraint is always there, So, thanks so much for being on our show.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much, Bob.
Thanks, Jenna.
And so we hope you will join us again to get to know the leaders and achievers of our own Peel community. And we'll be back again next week to bring a new achiever, to have some very interesting question posed to him. And that's it. See you. Bye-bye.